my friends call me Spike.
Railroad spikes.
Giant wooden spikes.
Spikes.
Please welcome back the fabulous Ice-T and his friend Spike.
Oh, hi there, I didn't see you. The Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines spike as a very large nail or to fasten with spikes. But I, being the countercultural intellectual that I am, reject that definition. To me, it's not an oversized pokey or a derivative verb. To me, spike is the name that connects a not insignificant amount of pop cultural and historical giants. The term spike as a proper noun is pretty unique. Unlike most common nicknames, Spike doesn't have a root. Mike turns into Michael, Flo turns into Florence, and Jimmy turns into Jimothy. I kid you not, people are just wobbling around the world with the name Jimothy. I don't have a kid. But the point is, there's no one named Spikle or Spikus to make Spike. People named Spike have to actively work to be called that, especially professionally. That got me thinking, why? Why would anyone want this? I mean, it's what I'll be naming my son, but he can't choose his name. I get to burden him with that. There has to be a stronger link between people who did choose to be called Spike. Spikes connect railroads, and the human spikes connect a conspiracy dating back to the 1930s on the railroads known as Hollywood. A spiker web, if you will. The first thing I did in my investigation was find as many people called Spike as I could. I found wrestlers, athletes, musicians, writers, blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of spikes out there. By combing through each person's personal and professional lives, I discovered that every spike was connected to at least 2 other spikes, which led me to make this comprehensive flowchart that I decorated for dramatic purposes. Check her out! Our list starts with Spike Jones. Not Spike Jones, Spike Jones. Spike Jones, Jones, or Lindley Armstrong Jones, was an American band leader from the 30s to the 60s. He was known for his satirical arrangements of popular music and novelty songs. You know your least favorite Christmas song, All I Want for Christmas? No, not that one.
All I want for Christmas is my toothpaste.
That one. Well, that was him and his band, Spike Jones and the City Slickers. He was, and still kind of is a big deal, being a major influence for Weird Al and Frank Zappa. People started calling him Spike as a child because apparently he looked as thin as a railroad spike. Spike Jones died in 1965 of emphysema, but passed his band and his nickname to his son, Spike Jones Jr. Spike Jones Jr., or Lindley Armstrong Jr., is a television producer and director. His Wikipedia says he's done a couple of narrative-ish type projects like the cinematic release of World of Warcraft Warlords of Draenor, but based on his IMDb, he exclusively produces award shows, specializing in the Primetime Emmys, as featured here. This includes the 2007 Primetime Emmys, where the show When the Levees Broke, A Requiem in 4 Acts, won Best Director. That director, Spike Lee. Spike Lee, or Shelton Jackson Lee, as I'm sure most of us know him, is one of the most influential directors of our time. His mother nicknamed him Spike as a baby because of how tough he was. Unrelated fun fact, or maybe it's not unrelated because it kind of still relates to another Spike, but back in 2003, Lee filed an injunction against Spike TV, a male-leaning television station from back in the day, because of their use of the name Spike. I remember watching Spike TV. They had a show called 1,000 Ways to Die, which I thought was very edgy as a 13-year-old girl, so I was very invested in that. Point being, Lee felt their use of the name would confuse audiences, making them think that Spike Lee was associated with the station, especially since their audiences kind of overlapped at the time, and maybe because Spike TV rhymes with Spike Lee. But moving away from the Spike TV side note, in 2019, Spike Lee, along with other public figures, signed an open letter to the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Science, the Oscar people, condemning the Academy's decision to present 4 categories during commercial breaks to shorten the broadcasted show. Among the people to sign this letter with Spike Lee was Spike Jones. Yes, that's Spike Jones, Jonze, or Adam Spiegel. Spike Jones with a Z is also an iconic modern director, popular for the Jackass movies, Her, and Being John Malkovich. He's also the guy featured on my t-shirt. Fun side note, I wore this t-shirt when working with the producer of adaptation another Spike Jones movie, his second feature film, and he acknowledged it, so that's pretty cool. One curiosity you may have about Spike Jones is why his pseudonym is so different from his real name. Adam Spiegel, Spike Jones, they're not exactly equivalent. But when Spiegel was a teenager, he did 2 things. 1, frequented BMX bike shops, and 2, had spiky hair. So the clerks at the BMX store used to call him Spike in reference to his hair, and then they added the Jones in reference to that jazz Spike Jones, and then the Z because it was the 80s or the 90s and replacing S's with Z was like hella rad extreme or something. Jones with a Z shares a nickname nickname inspiration with another Spike, Spike Milligan. Spike Milligan, or Terrence Allen Milligan, didn't like his given name, so he switched to Spike based on his love of Spike Jonze and the City Slickers. Milligan, a British comic, acted as inspiration for many members of Monty Python's Flying Circus. He co-created and starred in the British radio show The Goon Show in 1951, and later the television version with Peter Sellers, the guy who played Dr. Strangelove and the Pink Panther, not to be confused with Doctor Strange and the Black Panther. Milligan enlisted in the British Army during World War II, where he performed musical and comedy sets to entertain the troops. Much like saxophonist Spike Robinson. Spike Robinson, or Henry Burloth Robinson, enrolled in the US Navy as a musician in 1948. Not thinking he could make a career in music outside of the military, he did a little 180 to study engineering. He was an engineer for 30 years until rejoining jazz in 1981, where he became one of the better-known saxophonists of his time, appearing on and releasing a combined total of over 30 albums. While Robinson switched from music to engineering to music, Spike Feresten also made a large career jump from music to television. Spike Feresten, or Michael Donovan Feresten, attended Berklee College of Music until he flipped career paths to television writing. Feresten hosted a satirical talk show on Fox called Talk Show with Spike Feresten, and wrote for SNL, The Simpsons, Space Ghost Coast to Coast, The David Letterman Show, and Seinfeld, where he penned the famous Soup Nazi episode. Feresten got his nickname from a production assistant while working on SNL in reference to, again, his spiky hair. Spike Feresten also wrote for the short-lived Dana Carvey show with Charlie Kaufman. Charlie Kaufman wrote Being John Malkovich, which was Spike Jonze with a Z's first feature film. Going back to Spike Jonze with a Z, before directing movies, he directed music videos for people like Bjork. Bjork worked with British producer and mixing engineer Mark Stent, also known as Spike Stent. People called Stent Spike because of his spiky hair, not necessarily featured here, which is a similar nickname story to Spike Feresten, and Spike Jonze with a Z, which leads us all the way back to band leader Jones. But if you want to go deeper, there's also Spike Fonzarelli, or Raymond Fonzarelli. Spike Fonzarelli is the Fonz's cousin from Happy Days who wanted to be a florist, as you all remember. How does this connect? Well, in the Happy Days universe, we find Weezer's Buddy Holly music video. And you know who directed Weezer's Buddy Holly music video? Spike Jonze. Not that Spike Jonze. This Spike Jonze. T-shirt Spike Jonze. Follow me here, people. There are connections happening. This all seemed well and good. But unlike the show, I was not having a happy day, because I had to go back to Spike Fonzarelli. Spike Fonzarelli is a fictional character, much like Spike the Dragon in My Little Pony. This surprisingly leads us to the 2020 Libertarian vice presidential candidate, Spike Cohen. Jeremy Spike Cohen nicknamed himself Spike at 3 years old after watching Spike the Dragon in 1986's My Little Pony movie. This isn't that version, but this is Spike the Dragon. Spike, the brony libertarian, is a regular talking head on Fox News. Fox News was a subsidiary of Fox, which used to own 20th Century Fox Entertainment. 20th Century Fox Entertainment was the company that had distribution rights for the WB show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And who was on Buffy? Spike the Vampire! At this point, I realized it was getting harder to connect the spikes. Psych! Despite your contrite dislike, this spike train rolls at night. Toot toot! Yes, it was getting harder, but that just means I didn't want to do it myself. So I recruited some of my YouTube buddies to talk about other spikes that were harder to integrate. That way, you can at least make your own connections.
Hi, my name is Ben from the YouTube channel Center Row, and I'm here to tell you about Spike Spencer. Oh, cool. He's a voice actor. He's done animes and more anime. It looks like he's only done animes, but some good anime, like playing the lead role in Neon Genesis Evangelion, as well as playing Hanataro Yamada in Bleach and Rollo Lamperouge in Code Geass. Oh, and he's done a few video games like World of Warcraft, Saints Row, and Fire Emblem Awakenings. And apparently he does public speaking and coaching and a podcast and consulting for real estate. What does this guy not do? At one point, apparently he even had a website called don'tkillyourdate.com, but now it appears to be inactive. So yeah, Spike Spencer, prolific guy. Anyways, on to the next Spike.
Hi, my name is Charles. I'm from the YouTube channel Dare to Entertain, and I'm going to talk about one of my now favorite Spikes, Spike from the Peanuts family. Making his first appearance in the Peanuts universe all the way back in 1975, Spike is very much the most well-known sibling in the Snoopy family, with his role growing more substantial over time. Now, in doing research for Spike, his backstory is kinda sad. He used to live with coyotes, and they outright just didn't share food with him. So when he first shows up to meet, with everyone in the show, we see one of the saddest and fastest L's ever handed out in kids television.
This is the most miserable looking dog I've ever seen.
Notable stories with Spike involve him having a pint with Mickey Mouse, so even though he has a small role in the show and the comic strip, he has a pretty large impact on the show as a whole. If you want to find out more content from me, make sure to head down to Dare to Entertain and come say hi.
And I wanted to talk to you about one of my favorite Stegosauruses, or as my friends like to call him, Spiketail. In The Land Before Time, Ducky actually finds Spike, or at least he finds the egg that Spike is in, and Ducky is the first character that Spike ever sees when he hatches from his egg, making him loyal to Ducky, Littlefoot, and the rest of the crew. Being larger than most of the other dinosaurs, he's cast into this typical big, dumb character who has very few lines and definitely eats a lot. Basically, you could say that he's Hodor from Game of Thrones or Lenny Small from Of Mice and Men. He's lovable and compassionate, but probably not all there in the head. At least that's what I gather from watching the original Land Before Time. I haven't seen any of the other 700 sequels to The Land Before Time, but I'm pretty sure I can tell you this, that they don't really matter much.
What's up, everybody? I'm AJ from Cult Popture, and yes, I do have a funny accent. I'm here to tell you all about Chicago mobster Spike O'Donnell, a Prohibition-era gangster who operated during the infamous Beer Wars of the 1920s. Spike is remembered in the annals of gangster history for mainly two reasons. One, after starting a turf war with legendary gangster Al Capone, O'Donnell is believed to be the target of the first known use of a Tommy gun in Chicago during a drive-by shooting which he actually survived. Two, O'Donnell's legacy is significant because unlike most gangsters of the era, Spike managed to retire from his life of crime and died of relatively natural causes in 1962, which is more that can be said for two of his brothers and 8 members of his gang. He's one of the lucky ones, although he did have to endure a lifetime of fearing for his life and the lives of his family, surviving over 10 assassination attempts and a gunshot to the back, and then the IRS also sued him for like nearly $250,000. But hey, he got out and they didn't pull him back in. And movies and TV have taught me that getting pulled back in is what usually happens most of the time in these situations. And if you want to see what else I've learned from movies and TV, then come over to Cult Popture and check out some of our videos.
And that's the end of the spiderweb. From this journey, I've learned two things. One, no one called Spike is born Spike. You have to earn it. Unless you're my future son, he will be born Spike. And two, while you can make flimsy but passable connections between some people named Spike, it's not necessarily possible for all of them. Heck, maybe none of this means anything outside of the fact that people like hair gel and novelty 50s jazz. But as someone who has devoted hours of her life researching and finding these connections, I want to believe there's something bigger to the mess. Even if it's as simple as acknowledging that not everything has a reason. But if you look hard enough at the nothing, you can find your own meaning, which is actually kind of beautiful. And in the end, that's the very large nail in the coffin. I mean Spike, not this one, this one. And that is my video about spikes. I'm sure nobody wants to see this video, but it exists now, which has to mean something. So kind of leaving the Spike train, as I was researching this video, I wanted to find this guy, the actor who played Spike from Happy Days. I thought, he seems like a small enough celebrity, he might actually do it. So I researched, and eventually I found out that he was played by a guy named Mario A.C. Della Casa. And Mario A.C. Della Casa is now the official owner and proprietor. He's the founder of the business GenieBottles.com. GenieBottles.com is unique in that they sell licensed bottles, replicating the bottles in I Dream a Genie. As you can see here, they are created by the only artist that was ever licensed by Sony to create these bottles. It made sense that it would be the guy who played Spike, especially if Happy Days was around the time of I Dream a Genie. Maybe this guy grew up and just loved the fact that he was a part of this era of television and wanted to continue in it. He was using his Spike clout to try to get buyers. It just fit together in my head. So I wanted to explore the website for a little bit because I think this is endlessly fascinating. So you have these bottles, like an old genie bong type thing. And then inside you look in and there's Genie, the character from the show that I have not seen. Barbara Eden, the person who played Genie, thinks it's a very unique thing, I think. I can't read her handwriting. So that's kind of like the Genie bottle section. However, GenieBottles.com has moved on to something that's not necessarily just Genie bottles, but he makes things kind of in the vein of them. So he's got 4 options right now, and they range between $350 and $530. You have no idea how close I was to buying one of these bottles, but the things that stopped me were the fact that that they were so expensive and I cannot justify expensing that much. Anyway, now this is my favorite part of the website. It's celebrity quotes. So the celebrity quotes are who you would think, Larry Hagman, who I think was in I Dream of Jeannie, based on the fact that it says that, and Dallas, apparently. It seems as Larry, or Mario, has written their own little script here. Mario, who makes the best bottles in town? Larry Hagman, you do. The best bottle in the world, and the heaviest too. Mario. So go to geniebottles.com right now. Larry Hagman. Yeah? Go get them. The next person to review them is Barbara Eden. I am so proud to own geniebottles.com merchandise in my own private collection. Barbara Eden talks a lot like an advertising executive. Who's Bernie? Oh no! It's Bernard Fox. He's from The Mummy.
Winston Havelock at your service, sir. Ha ha.
He loves them. That's a pull. Who else had to say things? Oh, the little kid from the Munsters apparently really loves his bottle since there's a real genie inside. The paint job is great. So we have a bunch of Star Trek people, a bunch of people from Dead Zone. Oh, the guy who plays Darth Maul. I have always wanted a genie bottle. I am very happy I was able to get one. This is a guy from Lord of the Rings, and he says the quality and craftsmanship that Mario puts into his work is simply outstanding. I don't know anything about My Dream of Jeannie, but I do know art, and this bottle is a true masterpiece that deserves the highest admiration. Bitch, how is he getting these people? Apparently we needed Linda Blair from The Exorcist. Mario and I clicked the moment we met. I knew when I saw his artwork, he is the kind of guy I really wanted to get to know, and I am so glad I know him. I think they're dating. Again, this all makes sense if Mario is Spike from Happy Days. Because you're not just getting a genie bottle, you're getting a genie bottle made from Spike from Happy Days. It all makes sense. So I emailed him. I know there is an option to chat with Mario on Skype, but I did not take that option. So I messaged him with the title, Spike from Happy Days. Video. Hi Mario, my name is Ariana. I'm a YouTuber working on a video about famous Spikes. From my research, I understand you played Spike on Happy Days under the alias of Danny Butch. Because every time I searched Spike from Happy Days, I got Danny Butch, but it would also lead me to this guy. So I understood that they were just kind of the same person. If you were in fact Spike the Florist, would you be interested in making a short appearance either through audio or a video recording? You can even give a shout out to your genie bottles business. And he decides to message me, just no. That story haunted me for years. I still don't know what story he's talking about. I did play Spike's character, but only in a touring musical as a child, not the TV show. He made a very clear point of putting it not in big red letters. TV Land edited my interview and confused issues. I am known for Genie Bottle and HR Puffin Stuff's Freddy the Flute. Does he do recreations of Freddy the Flute? I think he makes recreations of Freddy the Flutes.
That would make sense, right? I guess he's got that machine going.
So this guy's not capitalizing off the fact that he was Spike. He's just really into the bottles.
Yeah, everybody who's making a living, trying to do something they believe in, should give them a pass.
I agree. And I also think they should sponsor me. So, this video is not sponsored, but I keep seeing these wonderful reviews of the Genie Bottle from all these celebrities, and I think I would love to review the Genie Bottle. So Mario Della Casa, reach out to me. You have my email. I would love one. So that's this video. For those of you who don't know, hi, my name's Ariana Alexis, and if you want to support the channel, you can like this video, subscribe, and or follow me on Instagram at 500 Days of Ari. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.